So Gary Neville has bought Mark Goldbridge's YouTube channels for United Stand and That's Football in a deal which was very surprising to read, because I always thought these two didn't see eye to eye, that there's evidence of that on Twitter, but actually they have been working on a deal these past months for these channels to be part of the Overlap network. And it's interesting terminology that it seems like that they're not done here. Maybe they're going to get other channels from other clubs to have a whole load of different shows being produced via the Overlap. And we've already found out via this release today that but there is going to be a Stick to United podcast, like there is a Stick to Football one, which is very successful, and also a daily football news show. I think Goldbridge has also mentioned Lawrence McKenna will be involved in that, who has been around the football YouTube scene for a very long time. He said that his content is going to stay the same in terms of his watch-longs and all that sort of thing, but it'll be interesting to see how this develops over time, just because of wanting things all be aligned in a certain way. But will the Overlap actually want to just have it as it is and not tamper with things? But it'd be a very interesting thing to see, because Goldbridge has always said on many of his streams, which I've tuned into, is that he is against the mainstream. He is the antidote to the mainstream media's narratives and all that, and now he's getting in bed with what is seen as the mainstream, even though Neville might think otherwise. He might think that actually the Overlap and his YouTube channel is sort of in the middle in that sense, where he is on Sky Sports, but Stick to Football is more raw in how it comes across, and how he has his guests talk, like with Roy Keane and Ian Wright, for example. But I do think with the whole, Goldbridge getting the football rights recently to the Bundesliga, that this could mean that he will get more rights, to show actual game footage in his watch-longs, potentially the Premier League eventually as well. I think that must be something on the cards if he was for him to do this. I mean, obviously, as well as we can see through this article, these channels have been bought for quite a lot of money, 7 figures, I believe it was. So he's got a good deal there. But at the same time, like, these YouTube channels make a lot of money anyway. Like, he didn't have to sell out if he didn't want to, but he's decided to do that and have this editorial expansion, as it says here. And the Overlap, I think, is also looking at things like you got the Gary Neville, not Gary Neville, the Gary Lineker one, where the rest is football. It has that whole ecosystem being built right now, where you have the rest is football, the rest is entertainment, and so on and so on. And we have Stick to Football, we have Stick to Cricket. So you can see what he's trying to do here. Maybe he's going to have go into different things in the future, but at the same time, maybe with the rest is football going into the rest is entertainment and the rest is politics and other different categories like that, maybe he wants to just really focus in on sport, and that might be his way of trying to dominate this market. But it's all very business orientated, and it's also makes you feel like one of the big things about United Stand and just football YouTube channels in general from the fans, fan channels, is that you get that genuine reaction from a fan. So with it now being under this umbrella, it makes you feel like, can I really feel that same connection with what's being shown here, with whoever's talking about, that's Goldbridge or any of his other guests or presenters? But it's something which is going to be interesting to watch. Like they mentioned Arsenal Fan TV with AFTV now. Is that something they're also going to potentially try and get under their company as well? Like, I know Goldbridge works with Robbie from there and does his prediction show and everything, so that could happen where you have a lot of the big clubs, not just from the Premier League but also from around Europe, have their own, the biggest fan channels all combined under the Overlap. Is he trying to just dominate? Is he trying to be like a Thanos, gauntlet here of the YouTube channels, and starting off with one of the biggest ones? Well, he's the biggest Manchester United fan channel, there's no doubt. So yeah, but it's interesting, in that release video Goldbridge did, that a lot of the comments of people saying, I'm not going to watch this channel again, I can't believe you sold out, you sold your soul, etc., etc. You know, he's done this in the past by going to Talk Sport, then he eventually came back. Is this something he's going to regret? It's something which is going to be fascinating to keep an eye on how it develops. And also, of course, it says at the bottom here, in January as well, media and entertainment company Global acquired a majority stake in the overlap, and that's a big thing to take note of as well. So, and as this goes on from Simon Stone, traditionalists may recoil, but it makes economic sense. But yeah, I'm intrigued to see how it changes, because obviously with Manchester United in particular, there's a lot of things that Goldbridge is outspoken on when it comes to the ownership, which Neville, I don't think, would go that far. It doesn't seem like he has gone that far when it comes to slating the ownership. So Jim Ratcliffe, etc. Because he's with Sir Jim Ratcliffe in this whole regeneration project around Manchester and to build this new stadium. So yeah, I'm as someone who, well, I don't really do football YouTube a lot. I just have this little channel here. I mainly do film YouTube on my main channel. It's going to be something where I want to see how the viewing figures change, if they do change, or if this is going to help, or all the sets. Like he said as well that he will do a show with Neville as well, which people have wanted to see for quite some time. And Goldbridge is someone who some people love, some people hate. Can't deny though, he's someone who has definitely left an imprint on this whole football YouTube space. And Neville, a lot of people praise Neville. He's been on Dragon's Den. His whole business attitude, which is decent, but at the same time, I do wonder how he would have been if he didn't have the backing he got from being a football player and being in the media from that. Like, some part of me just feels like at times like he just goes with what he thinks at the time. It doesn't always work. Like, he tried doing watch alongs and it failed compared to what Goldbridge was doing. So maybe he thought, oh, if you can't beat him, join him. When you have the money, just do that. And Neville gets on my nerves, but anyway, as a pundit, and just I think a lot of people are starting to get sick of him just trying to dominate everything, and he definitely feels like he is the best pundit. I think he has that sort of arrogance around him, especially even when it comes to his co-commentary as well, and a lot of that is bloody crap, really. It's not as good as I think it used to be. Even I think he has regressed. A lot of time, he has his own podcast as well. He is everywhere, like when it comes to football. So yeah, and then in terms of Manchester United, the other fan channels who are out there, people like Stretford Paddock, Webby O'Neill. There's quite a few out there, but then there's also lots of those who are just there to try and generate clips, and I can't stand all that. There's just too much of that sort of TikTok mentality where it's like they're just trying to do something outrageous just so they can get a bit of virality, like whether that's chainsawing a Pikachu toy or whatever it is, or just shouting outside and just being very obnoxious, when actually I'd rather just have a good conversation about the football club I love. And there doesn't always seem to be lots about it. Even with those channels I mentioned, they have their own sort of style, and I don't always adapt to it. And I do struggle at times sort of seeing, especially with United, like Stephen Howson, who I don't know. I feel like it's all got a bit stale, really. It would be nice to have a few new voices. I would like to do more myself, but I know I'm only just one guy here, but like I would like to do more football stuff. But when you need to do more things on your main channel when it comes to film, then that's it's not really possible right now. But maybe in the future, especially World Cup coming up, I'd like to do some more stuff. But it would mainly be this sort of like very low editing sort of content, or maybe live content is better because you don't have to edit and you can have that interaction with fans, and that's what has been such a good thing as well. Like I think he mentioned at Goldbridge that he has a live community. He doesn't do lots of videos which are pre-recorded. It is where you can interact with the chat, and that's definitely shown to have grown, been a big reason why he has grown to such a big number when it comes to his subscriber base. But yeah, anyway, what are your thoughts? I'm just had a little ramble about it. I can completely understand people on both sides here, whether you think this is just him selling his soul to the Red Devil, or if it's a really smart move and maybe the future of football YouTube. So yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.